Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about nerd news that has happened over the past week. I am Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram, and Burley_adopter on Twitter. On Facebook and Instagram, generally, mostly as a cosplay photographer. Twitter as sort of a all-around tech gadfly and other things. We've got a reasonably quick show tonight. There's not a ton of stuff, but some very interesting stuff that has dropped. So we're going to jump right into it and hit you with our very first topic. And that is news about this gentleman to the right of the image on your screen right now. If you watch the series What We Do in the Shadows on FX, you know that that is Guillermo. And that is Guillermo is played by the actor Harvey Guillen. And the news is, or the rumored news is, that Harvey Guillen is in talks for a role in the upcoming Blue Beetle DC movie coming from Warner Brothers. Now, I say rumor because this is a unnamed source story coming out of Deadline. If you've watched this show a number of times, Luminous, hello and welcome to the show. If you've watched the show a number of times, you know that Deadline is an actual valid entertainment media outlet. And they do have inside sources, unlike clickbait garbage sites like We Got This Covered. So when they say we've heard, or sources say, they are talking about a source that is probably well versed in the subject, and they just can't say who it is. So we give Deadline an awful lot more credit than we do to a lot of other sites. The traditional Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, when they say unnamed source or a source says, you know, chances are, I can't think of a time that we've ever run a story like this where it hasn't been true. No idea what the character is that Harvey Guillen would be playing, and I have to admit I don't know enough about, well, either version of the Blue Beetle, Ted Kord or Jaime Reyes. This movie is going to be based on the teenage Jaime Reyes, the one that was in various teen teams. I think he was in Titans for a while. He was certainly in the cartoon Young Justice. And so on. So I don't know enough about the cast of that particular comic run to know who might be a good secondary character. Good guy or bad guy. This could be the villain, which would be very interesting. I would love to see Guillen. He is hilarious as Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows. One of the funniest things about that show. And I would love to see him in a villainous role, see whether or not, he can do that kind of a stretch. But I don't know. It's, there's no information here. Of course, since this is an inside source story, Warner Brothers hasn't confirmed in any way, so they haven't made any statements about what the casting would be. As more information comes out, we're going to obviously try to stay up on this and any other interesting casting coming out with Blue Beetle. Very excited to see the Blue Beetle movie. One, I like Ted Kord. I love the Blue Beetle Booster Gold interaction stuff, but Jaime Reyes is a much more dramatic character for the Blue Beetle costume or the Blue Beetle power set. And I think that works very well for modern movies. And of course you've got to love the representation. Having the movie, we do know the star is Zolo Marandueña. It's going to be directed by Angel Manuel Soda. So Hispanic representation all around for this thing. And now we've got Harvey Guillen. So big win so far. They're checking all of the really good pre-production boxes. So we'll keep up on this. We'll let you know. Another bit of interesting news. Of course, on the right, or the left of your screen there is Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. And on the right is Lily Singh. And the news here is that Disney Plus has given the green light to a series called The Muppets Mayhem. It's a comedy series starring the Electric Mayhem and Lily Singh, who will be in a live action role. So according to this, the gist of it is that Singh will play the lead role, Nora, a junior A&R executive who has to manage the Electric Mayhem Band. It says, with the help of Nora, this is from the Deadline article, the old school Muppet Band comes face to face with the current day music scene as they try to finally go platinum. I'm excited about this. I've always loved Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, or apparently now just the Electric Mayhem Band. It was originally called Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem when it was first introduced. And I think that was probably a play on words on the late 60s and 70s band Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. But, you know, and maybe that obviously just doesn't fly anymore. It just doesn't make any sense. So they just decide to call it the Electric Mayhem Band. Plus, it gives them the opportunity to make it less about Dr. Teeth. You know, if they want to concentrate on, you know, Floyd, the bassist, who is the one there with the orange mustache and the sort of, well, they say pink, but that looks an awful lot more like lavender to me. But obviously, joke Pink Floyd. Anyway, lead guitarist and vocalist is Janis Joplin. Yeah. All of that stuff is way too old for most of the audience that's going to be watching this anyway. But it's there. You know, check out all of the very interesting references to the Electric Mayhem Band members. No idea when the series will happen. That's not in the stuff here. Adam Goldberg from the Goldbergs has written most of it and is the primary developer of the show. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this could be pretty cool. Muppets, in my mind, have not been something I've been really too keen on lately. But a Muppet show with a live-action lead about a Muppet band trying to make its way in the modern music scene. I mean, just think about how these weirdos and hippies are going to interact with, trying to take the top spot away from, like, The Weeknd or Drake. There's a lot of funny stuff to mine in here, and I hope they do it. And they do it as well and satirically as the original Muppet Show did. Speaking of some originals, that right there is Ernie Hudson. I saw this news and went, as I was doing a search for the images, I went, wait a minute, I took a picture of him back in 2015 at a panel. And sure enough, there's Ernie Hudson from Hartford Comic Con back in 2015. But the news here is that Ernie Hudson is going to be the second lead this is an exclusive also from Deadline, but they don't couch this as coming from a source. They just state this as a fact. So I'm assuming it's an official thing. As the second lead opposite Raymond Lee in Quantum Leap, the upcoming NBC reboot sequel, sort of. They call it a reboot, but it's also a sequel to the original 1990s science fiction drama. So we know that Lee is playing the lead character, or the primary lead, Dr. Ben Song, physicist working on the time travel project known as Quantum Leap. He gets stuck in the late 1980s with amnesia after using the technology. Ernie Hudson is going to play Herbert Magic Williams. The character is a Vietnam vet and head of the Quantum Leap time travel project. And they say here, it says, using a bit of politicking and his military know-how to keep the Pentagon at bay, Williams buys the team some time to rescue Ben, but expects answers once he's back. So, Luminous in the chat, the Muppet Band and Sing sound like a great combination. I also recommend Greg the Bunny, which included Sarah Silverman. Greg the Bunny was just funnier than it ever had any right to be. As a puppet mixed live action show, it was hilarious. It also, way before oh, was the name of that recent Muppet murder thing that was terrible, a movie? Way before anything like that, like really super adult treatment. Even, well, no, I guess it was after Avenue Q, but it was very adult. And yeah, with like puppets having drug problems, and it was really a very interesting show. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Greg the Bunny too. If you can find it, I don't know where it might be viewable. If you know Luminous, let us know in the chat, because that would be one thing that I would really like to recommend everybody check out if it's on a streaming service that people can access. Anyway, so that's the Quantum Leap stuff. Moving on to our next topic. That is Will Smith from the movie I Am Legend, based on the Richard Matheson book of the same name. And the news is the long-running idea that there will be a sequel to it is actually going to happen. And the even bigger news is that Will Smith will be joined by Michael B. Jordan, both as producers and as actors in this upcoming sequel. So this is big news, folks. The two of them have never worked together, as far as I know, and that alone is going to be just an enormous draw. That'll put, as they say, butts in movie seats. And I think this could be really good. Now, it depends on how good it is. It's being written by Akiva Goldsman, who is a longtime experienced writer of genre fiction. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, as far as I know, there never was, I don't think there could be, a sequel to the novel, to Richard Matheson's novel, I Am Legend. But the movie, without telling you exactly any of the details, even though the movie's forever long ago, it doesn't say here exactly when it came out, it leaves it open that there was the possibility that there could be a sequel. So I'm thinking that's what they're going to do with this, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing whether it's a nice time jump in which we get to see, because it would make sense with Will Smith being quite a bit older, that we get to see what the world has further changed into after the apocalypse that created the, kind of scene that you're looking at right here. So no information here about when this is coming out. It was just named. Apparently it is absolutely a given, because once Deadline put out this exclusive story, Will Smith then just put out on on Instagram, a photo of the the streets of New York from the original movie. So implying that he's confirming that it's going to happen as a sequel. So good news. Looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to these two people playing off each other. It could be just an absolute wonder to watch them work together. And when we find out when it's going to happen or any other further details, we'll let you know. Speaking of something without a ton of detail, unfortunately, this is, of course, an image from, promotional image from the anime Mushoku Tensei. And the news is that the production company has confirmed that there will be a season 2 coming, but with no information about when or who's involved or whatever. So I'm going to have to try. This was all done unfortunately, on the website in Japanese. And Google Translate of the announcement is pretty Google Translate-y. But it does say, oh, by the way, in which case, the translation's version of the actual Japanese title is Unemployed Reincarnation. If you go to another world, you'll be serious. Which is interesting. They said that after they held a a pre-screening for what they call the TV unbroadcast episode extra edition, basically the OVA, an OVA episode, which is the one that shows what happened with Eris when Rudy went off on one particular tangent of his own, and Eris went to fight a bunch of goblins. And that's in the light novel, and they decided to make an episode about that, but it wasn't in the series itself. That's going to be the OVA. When they did this pre-screening, the production company said, they made a decision that they were going to announce that there would be, in fact, a second season. Details such as the broadcast time will be, this is a quoting now, details such as the broadcast time will be announced at a later date. Google got that dead on. So that was pretty easy to translate, apparently. So we don't know. They will be telling us when, what this will happen. It took a very long time to get the first season done. So, and it shows the quality is absolutely outstanding. The animation is, unparalleled. And the character writing is beyond almost anything else that's out there. In, one 24 episode, 2-core season, the character growth exhibited by almost all the characters ranges from, a bit, when we get to see a little bit more of Roxy's background, and to absolutely astonishing Rudius and his father, Paul. They go through stuff, let me tell you. And not stereotypical cliche, tropey anime stuff that leads to growth. This is really humanistic, believable, emotionally difficult things that they go through. Anyway, I could talk about that series forever. Unfortunately, I've got no news other than the fact that there will be a season 2 to talk about right now. So, but I'll just, again, plug it like I always do. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Rudius is a horrible, horrible character to get through most of the first core, through most of the first 12 episodes. He's charming and he's endearing, but he's also, he's unlikable in too many ways. And that character growth that happens mostly in the second core is astonishing, and it's worth it. But anyway, moving on to more, oh my God, there's another one news. This is, of course, the crew of the Nostromo, or some of the crew of the Nostromo, from the movie Alien, and the news is there is a new Alien movie coming down the pike. The only role that Ridley Scott will have in it is he will be a producer. His production company, Scott Free, will be the production company behind it. So it is not another Prometheus movie. It is going to be a standalone original Alien feature, apparently set on Earth. I'm trying to think of where I saw that in here. So one of the other things, the director and filmmaker of this is going to be Fede Alvarez, who directed the horror movies Don't Breathe and its sequel, wrote and produced the remake of Evil Dead from 2013, and wrote and directed and wrote and produced the recent Netflix version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So he knows horror, and I'm looking forward to this. I think this could be a good one. Give anybody, and this is, by the way, completely unconnected to the Alien series that is going to be on FX, done by Noah Hawley. Fargo, Legion, the guy's a genius. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just as much looking forward to this movie. Now, we don't know for sure when this is coming out. Again, this isn't that information is not in this article. But I will let you know when we find out, and any other, like who's going to be casting, any of the plot details or anything like that. Following on to the idea of yet more stuff coming out from a well-trod intellectual property franchise, that is, of course, Lauren Cohan as Maggie and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan from The Walking Dead. The news is... did I skip over that one? I have these in the wrong order. There we go. The news is that these two are getting their own spin-off series. Yet another spin-off series of The Walking Dead. This is going to be made by showrunner Eli Jornet, who has been a writer and a co-executive producer on The Walking Dead for a number of seasons now. It will be set in Manhattan, which is why it's called Isle of the Dead. And I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of getting it out of, getting it out of the woods, getting it out of, small towns. I mean, the prison was an interesting setting. Alexandria, so. I wasn't crazy about it, but at least it was different. Setting it in the ruins of New York City, particularly Manhattan, which, according to this, has been completely cut off from the mainland. So I guess all the bridges, this would imply that all the tunnels, subway tunnels and train tunnels and so on, are also no longer functioning, but who knows? I like the idea. I am pretty much completely done with The Walking Dead, and, even it's, at this point, I think much better spin-off Fear the Walking Dead. But, you give me this, a tighter cast. I'm assuming it's going to be, eventually will grow into a wider cast, but, you give me something like what The Walking Dead was initially with, a fairly tight cast of, maybe a half a dozen people that you can follow their stories. And I'm in. I like the idea. This will actually hit in 2023. So this is one of the few things we actually know when we'll get to see. It will be on AMC and AMC Plus, the streaming service, if you have that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Just the idea of what they can do with New York City, both zombies and survivors. I can't wait to see Zombie Pizza Rat. There's got to be a Zombie Pizza Rat. I also really want to see Zombie Carrie Bradshaw. Let's have that Sex and the City crossover that we all wanted. Get Zombie Carrie Bradshaw in on this. Please, somebody do that. All right, moving on. Our first and really only trailer that dropped that made it to our list. If you have not seen it, folks, go watch the latest trailer for the upcoming DC animated movie Super Pets. DC League of Super Pets, technically the full title. That is Batman and, of course, Ace the Bat Dog. We've known Kevin Hart has been doing the voice of Ace the Bat Dog. I think we may have known that Keanu Reeves is voicing Batman, but this is the first time we hear him, and he works. He works really well as a Batman, and particularly the kind of Batman that they're trying to do with this. It's obviously Keanu Reeves. There's no, there's no way you can fake that voice, but he does enough of the sort of John Wick gruffness with his voice that he sounds like Keanu Reeves trying to do Will Arnett's Lego Batman, and it works. He's funny. That's the most important part, because this is obviously a comedy. And it's the trailer is wonderful and hilarious. Go check it out. Cannot wait to see this movie. We know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Crypto the Superdog. I'm trying to remember who plays Superman. It's a good get. But I can't recall. John Krasinski, that's right, is doing Superman. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I anticipate laughing a lot. I know that we've talked about the release here. Here it is at the very end, May 20th of this year, which is, I guess that makes sense since they've already put out 2 trailers, or 3 trailers. That was the first one, the Superman-focused one, and now the Batman-focused one. So check it out if you're at all interested in this, folks. It looks really funny. Got a lot of good chuckles out of just the trailer alone. And it's good that they're ramping up the humor level as they go along. The first trailer was amusing. The second trailer, where it showed a lot more interaction between Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, and they work together really well. Whether you like all of their movies or not, they play off each other very well. That was a lot funnier. And then, of course, with the introduction of Krasinski's voice as Superman, that was a great bit. And now this third trailer is even funnier. Luminous, the Super Pets trailer is great, but I was hoping more for an ensemble. The trailer focused on just a few characters. Well, that's like the last trailer too, Luminous. The Superman trailer, which focused more on Krypto and Superman's relationship, was... it did have a little bit more in that one of the Dwayne Johnson-Kevin Hart relationship, the relationship between Krypto and Ace. That's true. This was a lot more focused on Ace and Batman. But we already know what the ensemble looks like. We saw it in the first one. We now know more about what the ensemble and the Superman and Krypto interaction looks like. We saw that in the second one. And now we know what the Batman and Ace relationship is, and it's really funny. And I'm sure it's May 20th. I'm sure there'll be a final trailer that basically rolls all of this stuff together. So, keep an eye out for that. All right, our last topic. This is, of course, from the most recent God of War game, the sequel that had the title of the original God of War game from way back when. And the news here is, again, unconfirmed sources. But again, it's an exclusive coming from Deadline. They get these things right usually. Is that Amazon's Prime Video is in negotiations for a live-action TV series based on this game franchise. Now, I use this image because it's gorgeous. They don't say in here what part of the franchise, whether it would in fact be the newer game where you've got Kratos and his son, or whether it would be earlier in Kratos' life. With the popularity of Viking stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if they went with the newer game. And the fact that there's a God of War 4, which continues that story, coming out sometime in the next couple of years. The article here also says that working on the series, making the series, is Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, who did The Expanse. They were the creators and the executive producers. Fergus and Ostby wrote, and in fact won Oscars for writing Children of Men, which is an amazing movie. And they also wrote the script for Iron Man. So if these are the two that are involved, also Rafe Judkins, the showrunner of Wheel of Time, is also, according to this unnamed source story, involved as well. I think that's got a lot of upside, given the people potentially behind this. Again, we're talking, it's all unnamed source, single source stories. But I would really like to see this take on it. It's something that you could do pretty easily in live action. There are some pretty wildly fantasy settings. The World Serpent Jormungandr, that's going to have to be done with some really creative CGI and set work and so on. But it's Amazon Prime Video, and they'd be throwing bucket loads of money at it. They certainly didn't worry about all of the special effects required for The Expanse when they took it over, so, I can see them putting the same sort of money and effort into the special effects that would be required for a fantasy epic of this type. Um, it also would be very interesting to see if they do actually make this and it comes out in, say, a couple of years, what would be going on with their Lord of the Rings of Power series at that point, and what it would be like to have two competing big fantasy IPs currently under your belt. At least two. They're also doing Fallout. They're doing a Mass Effect series. So yeah, if they want to have them all, I'm all for that. Throw all the money at it and give me really good stuff. Better ideally than Wheel of Time's first season ultimately turned out to be, but again, that was, as far as I know, quite a bit not the fault of the showrunners or the budget. That was the fault of COVID, and then a absolutely vital cast member just literally bailing before the last two episodes, and the episodes were all filmed sequentially, which that's how you get problems. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the potential of a God of War series. No idea, obviously, when we would see it, who they would cast for it. That's an awful lot of speculation out there. There is no truth to the rumor that I am currently working on getting Jack to be able to play the older Kratos. Thank you for everybody who thinks that's a possibility, but I haven't been that jacked since my late 20s. So I was never actually that jacked. But never even remotely close to that jacked. Let's put it that way. So we'll give you more information as it comes out. That's it, folks. That's our show for tonight. Like I said, thank God the last couple of weeks have not been like the 2 weeks before that, where our shows went way over an hour because we just had so much we had to talk about. Before I go, we will throw up here the Patreon URL, patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Love to have you go and visit. If you want to become a patron, we would absolutely love to have you. We just have 3 tiers. The lowest one is $2 whole. We take that money and use it to get new content for YouTube, for the site, other places that we exist. So patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Give it a look. Become a patron if you want to. That said, I had a could we please or could we not plea for people out there, and I completely forgot it. So never mind. We won't do that this week. What we will do is ask you to stay safe, folks. Please be safe out there. Thank God here in the Northeast it is warming up. The roads are so much better. But still, there's plenty of things to worry about, and be safe. And we would also obviously be lax if we didn't recognize it as International Women's Day. So continue the effort to bring equality in all aspects of life to women all around the globe, not just here in the United States, where one of the topics is clearly continuing to be the pay gap, the gender pay gap, but also right now the unrelenting assault on women's medical rights. So International Women's Day, let's please think of this as something to start reversing this trend backward in our society. Obviously our support and our thoughts are with everybody in Ukraine. If you would love to, please do whatever you can to help support, even if it's just sharing messages of support on your favorite social media. That said, we will see you in an upcoming show this Thursday, 2 nights from now. Our Full Fat Spoiler Chat will be on the Cuphead show, the Netflix show, based on the very popular and wildly creative video game Cuphead. And so if you have seen it or you haven't and you really don't care whatsoever about spoilers, please join us then. Luminous, last word, let's hope for peace.